A lot of this stuff that I'm going to talk about here this morning, well, I'm going to talk about two things, and I'm going to jump in with some others as they come to me. But bullying and confidentiality. Okay, these are two really big problems. So let's go ahead and pull our phones out. Go ahead and pull your phones out. Everybody get your phone out. Put your phones on silent. Okay. So, bullying and confidentiality, those are two big issues that'll put you in a sling really quick. Can I make it all the way over to here?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I have done these as a principal. I had to go in and do these every year. So, I use the same PowerPoint just about as long as I've been doing this. But so, back, I can't remember how many years ago, the state legislature, there's always been a big part of bullying, a big problem with bullying in the schools, in the workforce and everywhere. I mean, it's been going on since biblical times. But they finally, somebody stepped up and said, okay, we're going to make a law that prevents bullying. We're going to do something about this. So it is a law, okay? And who is charged in the law to take care of this? We as school employees are charged to take care of this, okay? How do we do that? We report it, okay? Who do we report it to? Okay, we report it to, you report it to your supervisors, to Marshall, Victoria, myself, okay? Or, like we were talking yesterday, you can report this stuff to the principal or somebody on school grounds. But if you are aware, and here's the kicker, if you're aware of somebody on your school bus, okay, and I'll even go a step further, if you are not aware that somebody on your bus is being bullied, okay, you're still responsible for it because you are in charge of the school bus to and from school. I don't say that to scare you. I say that to be mindful, okay? Know your kids, okay? Know the situations. If you're monitoring your kids on your bus to and from the school, actively participating in student management, writing them up when they're in trouble, making them follow the rules, okay? You're going to know your kids and you're going to know who's in trouble. That's just as simple as that. If you're just getting on the bus and just going to drive and say, to heck with what happens in the back, none of you do that. I'm just telling you. If you just let it go in the back and somebody's back there getting bullied, you can be responsible for breaking this law right here, okay? A bullying. We're charged as school employees to not let kids bully other kids, okay? So, monitor your bus, and y'all do an excellent job of this. I'm not saying that we don't, but monitor your kids. Know where they're at. You can tell when they get on, or you can tell when they get off, okay, if something's going on with them. So if they're getting bullied, it's your responsibility to turn around at me, and that's as simple as it is, okay? Now, there's a definition for bullying. Let me see if I can run through this real quick and find it. So basically, it's any unwanted verbal, physical, or social behavior among students that involves a real or a perceived power imbalance. Now, I remember when this first came out, I was like, are you kidding me? Really? It's all it has to be is perceived, but you think about that. Okay? What is perception? If you perceive it, it's your reality. So it's these kids' reality. Now, they may feel like they're getting bullied, and that's all it takes under this definition to be considered being bullied. So you have to be real careful. But now, at the same time, here's what happens. Okay, some of these parents, and I'm just going to talk real with you. Some of these parents are going to say, well, my kid's getting bullied. And their kid is the one that has punched the other kid in the nose, and this kid's finally had enough, so he lays him back out. So what happens? My kid's getting bullied. You know, and they're whining and crying to us. So what they do is they use this against us in some ways. But the way to protect yourself is know your kids, know what's going on your bus, manage your students, and write them up when they do stuff. Okay? Do we want to get a bunch of write-ups, Marshall? Do we want a bunch of write-ups?
No. we get 1,400 this year.
Oh my Lord.
Okay, now, do we want a bunch? No. But, do we care to get them?
Nope.
No? No, seriously. The only way that we have for documentation is write-ups. I know you don't like to do them. I hated to do them. I would do just about anything when I was driving. And I was a sub driver. That's all I ever did. I mean, I would beg for a long-term route, but I did sub driving. I hated like everything to write up kids. And when I taught school, I hated to write them up because I felt like I was failing if I was doing a bunch of write-ups. My principal had to deal with it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't even deal with these kids. I have to write them up. But over the years, as I kind of seen what happens when you don't write them up, number one, we don't have a paper trail. And that's what it's about, unfortunately. We have to have documentation. I see a lot of teachers in here shaking their heads. Yep. Some of them probably in special ed. Yep. So, and I'll talk to you a little bit about what the principals were talking about yesterday with special ed and his write-ups. Hopefully help you get a little better understanding. But what I found was that when you don't write kids up, okay, that means it's not being brought to light, it's not being dealt with. And then what can happen in the end is the behavior gets worse, actually. It doesn't get better. And after a while, you get into a hole to where they say, he ain't gonna wrap me up anyway. Then they'll start trying to play on, well, they're real nice, so I got them. You know, so if you, in the Bible it says, and you you spare the rod, and that means if you don't discipline, you spoil them. And that's not good. It actually says you hate them if you don't discipline. But I believe in discipline. It's firm, fair, and consistent. That's what we preach in the schools. But the only way to deal with this bullying is to report it, and you'll keep yourself safe. So if another kid is sad, if they're scared, that's the two biggest indications. They're scared. Okay? If they're scared of another one, they're getting bullied. Whether the other kid's just joking with them or not, because usually the bullier don't even care. They don't even worry about the other person's feelings anyway. It's just they bully, and then, well, I was just kidding. You know, I was just kidding. So if that other kid is sad, that's when you got a problem. That's when they need written up, okay? So any questions on bullying before we move on? I'm not going to go through this step by step. You know, I put this in here because this is our board policy, okay? And while we're on this, on the Laurel County website, you can go under employee handbook, okay? This right here is our employee handbook. Everybody got one of them. Okay. This is condensed to just deal with the stuff that is important to us for daily operations. But on the Laurel County website, okay, there's a whole thing of a whole booklet of board policies and procedures and employee handbook. Everybody in here, you all know, is you're responsible to follow and keep all of these. There's too many for me. I could use 5 days and go through all of the policies and procedures of employees, but I'm not going to do that. But just know that you are responsible. If you follow this right here, okay, and do the things that we talk to you and ask about, you're safe, okay? And I'll fight for you. You do what's right, I'm in your corner. If you don't do what's right, there's things in this book that make me do things I don't want to do, okay? Employee discipline, but we don't have a lot of that, and thank you guys so much for that. You all do an excellent job, okay? Now, won't you vote? So, but really, if you follow this, everything in here will take care of all these board policies and the employee handbook, I promise you, okay? So this is just a policy that talks about bullying, and you're supposed to report it. When are you supposed to report it? When do you think? Immediately. Okay. They talked a little bit in the health presentation yesterday. The nurses did about how good the counselors are, and we've got all kind of resources. And I know, I'm not tooting my horn, but I know every principal in this district, and I know most of the counselors. I build relationships. That's what I think this world's about. We got to have relationships. So I build relationships with these school administrators, okay? And you do yourself some good to start doing that also. But I have relationships with everybody in this district. If you can't get something done, If we can't get something done together, I know who will get these kids help. I know. I've worked with several of you. Come to me, and some of you come to me bawling and crying over these kids, and we go in and we get some stuff done, okay? So, if we can't get it done through your means, I promise you, I'll help you get that done. I know who to get to, okay? So, report it immediately. The sooner we can get them, the sooner we can take care of it, the better, okay? And a lot of times, it's little kids. Honest to goodness, we have more trouble with the little ones than we do the big ones. We have to write the big ones up more, but we have more trouble with our little kids. Raise your hand. You know it's true. I mean, the little ones kill us. And this bullying with the little kids, what we can do? We just move their seats and make them stay. Put a big kid in the aisle and put the little one in there and scrunch them in. Put one of your bigger kids in there, I mean, a lot of this stuff can be taken care of pretty quick and pretty easy. And Marshall and I work together all the time when these discipline issues come up, we're brainstorming what to do, okay? How are we going to fix this? We listen to you all, but, report it, okay? Don't let a kid get bullied. Number one, it's just not the right thing to do, but it'll catch you right here with this law. All right, let me kind of just run through real quick. All right, this is from this code of conduct's not changed. I know it says 16, 17, but bullying or hazing, the first offense, second offense, third offense, conference to expulsion, okay? In-school suspension to expulsion, out-of-school suspension to expulsion, okay? This is probably a pretty good time to talk about this special ed stuff and how they're suspended and not suspended. I talked to you a little bit about it last year. Back in the 80s, 70s, 80s, I don't know, FAPE. Who knows FAPE? When was FAPE, girls, boys, teachers? Y'all know when FAPE was pushed out?
November 17th, 1978.
You're lying.
How do we know?
Do you know that? Well, okay, so what? You're going to be on my opposing ticket. There you are. All right, good to know your enemies. Okay, so free and appropriate public education. That's a federal mandate for how to deal with things in the school system, okay? Especially those with disabilities. And the reason that triggered in my mind was this expulsion, okay? There's a difference between a suspension and expulsion, okay? It used to tickle me to death when I'd get a kid in there. Please don't expel me. Please don't expel me. I said, I can't expel you. There's only one person that can expel a student from the district. And that means they're off of the campus. They can't be around. That's the superintendent. And that has to be done in agreement with all your 5 board members. Okay? So that's what expulsion is. So that rarely happens. It happens. Okay, but I mean, that's when they bring a gun or they've committed a felony, okay, on the school property. So that rarely happens. Back in the day, it was more common. They used to kick kids out to come out of the district. Wouldn't even let them come on the campus. Now, suspension is when they're suspended for a day, 2 days, 3 days. Now, when you have a special ed student, and I don't know, you may be going to talk about this, but I'm going to touch it. Real quick and then move on. And I'm jumping all over the place. I'm sorry, I'm ADHD, but this is important stuff for you to know.
Big ADHD too.
I know, get big. Yeah. I eat well too. All right, so the thing with special ed students, okay, they have a higher level of protection because they're identified as being special ed. Okay, that means they have a deficiency. Whether we think it's right or wrong, it doesn't matter. It goes back to the law. So, and why I'm telling you this is I know how frustrating it is when a kid's back there tearing up Jack, being a smart aleck, and there's nothing worse than a smart aleck kid. I'm just telling you, there's nothing worse. They will pull on you. It will just about make you sick the way they want to treat us sometimes. I understand that. But this is all going to tie back. We, as a school system and the administrators, the principals that deal with this discipline, they have 10 days, okay? If a student is special ed, they have 10 days. And you all correct me back here, special ed, I know I've got some special ed teachers. You have 10 days that these students can be disciplined, okay? If they miss 10 days of school, it is a federal law, okay, through FAPE, the Free and Appropriate Public Education, that there has to be a plan developed to try to keep them in school. Okay, that's the best way I can say it. It's a little more complicated than that, but I don't want to get into all that. But really and truly, I say this because a lot of these discipline issues, their hands are tied. And some of them, it still makes me bang my head on the wall that we can't discipline no more than they can. Their hands are tied, basically. So just know that when we're dealing with a student that with an IEP, and you'll know them, or if you have problems, or you think, God, why is he not off the bus? You know what he did, why did we not kick him off? They only have a few days that they can do that, because if they miss the day that they're suspended off the school bus, that goes to one of those 10. Then you're down to 9, okay? It's unfortunate. It is what it is. But that's why we get into this, you can't suspend them. So, here's another thing. This is going to make a lot more sense to you. If they are in what they call in-school suspension, that does not count toward one of those days. So, I know what it feels like. You're like, you mean to tell me that he did that on the school bus and how he got in-school suspension? It's not even for school. Just know that when they're in that in-school suspension, number one, they probably have an IEP, and that principal is doing the best they can on that discipline because it's the law. They miss over 10 days, it's not good. And the federal government, the people that make these laws, put that in there because they really wanted the special ed population to be taken care of. And they wanted us to go above and beyond because these kids need extra help. And in the past, back in the early days of education, they wouldn't even let special ed kids come to school. They just put them out. Then they started getting little rooms, trailers out back. They put them in there. And it just evolved to now they're included. And that's what they want. They want all kids to be included and have the same opportunity to move forward. Okay, it's a very noble idea, and above everything, it's the law, so we have to follow it. But I just wanted to give you a little glimpse of what we're dealing with, and maybe it will help you understand a little bit better what you're dealing with. So,
To the danger part, you guys go ahead and take steps further, right?
we do. And then it gets a little trickier with that. There's different placements that we do with them. I know one time last year we had a student push the bus driver. The bus driver's not in here, so I can talk about it. And he didn't quit because of that. he had some other things that he got a better opportunity. But he pushed the bus driver out in one of the elementary schools. The kid got up in his face, cussed him out, threatened to whip his aide, talked to him like a dog. School resource officers were in town. This was an outlying elementary school. Luckily, we had this, what are they called? LEOSAs. That's the retired police officers. Now, we do have retired police officers that are called LEOSAs now in the schools. Every school has a LEOSA, and I don't even know what it stands for, but it's a retired police officer that they come in. They're bonded by the school district. They can carry a gun. They're not in a uniform. They're just plain dressed. They're out on the ramps, school bus ramps, in the schools during the day. They're there to help protect the kids and administrators, okay? They all have guns, but luckily, that was right after we got those in the schools. So he got off the school bus, he hit another kid, kicked a kindergarten student. Okay, this is an 18-year-old kid. Okay, kicked another student. You might want to close your ears, Dr. Bennett. Closed the bus door, got out, cussed the LEOSA out, threatened to fight him, ran off school property. So, yeah, he was not back in school, but he had a different placement because that's where he determined he was needed to be. He was under the protection of FAPE. Had an IEP, we got it changed over, we had several meetings about it. Now, actually, the kid was having a whole lot of problems at home, come to find out. I followed up with this situation. He's now back out of the placement that he was in. He has a new placement for his home life. And he's doing well. Didn't have any more problems the rest of the school year. And this happened very early on. So it's a success story in one part, but in the other part, yeah, if it goes that far, we will definitely.
I wouldn't even want it to go that far.
Yeah, I know. And you know what? We catch a lot of them.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, sometimes we don't. But that's the rare occasion that would ever happen. So that just gives you a little glimpse into what we're dealing with. Any more questions? That's an awesome question. Yes.
If you have an IEP student, how many write-ups can you get by with before they put them on the short bus?
Well, okay, it's kind of like, let me just tell you, it's kind of like dogs. Have you ever taken every dog that you've taken? Okay, Lavina rescues dogs. This is a good one. Have you ever taken a dog in and when you take one in, say they get the same exact thing every time? There you go.
What do you need?
When you rescue a dog, the care that you give them is not the same. Would you say it's the same every time?
Pretty much.
Okay, so all of them come in? Okay, well, wait a minute. So all the dogs that come in, they all don't need shots.
Yeah, they all check.
Every one of them needs shots. Do they all have mange?
Most of them.
Now, they don't all because I've seen some of your dogs. You're not playing nice. You're not playing nice. Okay, wait a minute. All right, so, okay, this is still a good example, though, Lavina, but you're just being mean to me. Bullying. Hey, I'm reporting it.
Don't compare kids to dogs. I'll take dogs over kids.
Dogs are the most loyal. They are the most loyal. I've tried to get my wife not to buy one of those Labradoodles, and you know what? He sleeps with me every night. Okay, but so it's just like I'm gonna say this: kids are not just like animals. Okay. So you do not do the same thing for a dog that you do for a cat when you're rescuing it, do you?
For a cat.
Yeah. Because cats are mean. Now, so you don't have the same plan for each and every kid because they're all different. They all don't come from a home where they have two parents working. They all don't come from a home where they have two parents at the house. Some of them don't even have their parents at home. Some of them, Sissy's raising them, and she's only 12. Okay, so we deal with these kids individually. You can't put them in a box. You all know that. You can't treat all the kids the same on your bus, okay? So we deal with them individually. So I can't give you an answer of how many write-ups can we do. Every write-up that you submit, that any of you submit to us, we're going to deal with it, okay? The best we know how. We're going to leverage every discipline. We're going to leverage every resource. We're going to leverage every move on the bus. Every option that we've got, we're leveraging all this stuff to make that student successful in the school. Okay? And now I know, like I said, it's aggravating. They aggravate the snot out of us sometimes. But our ultimate goal and why we're here, okay, you're not here for the money. Raise your hand if you're here for the money alone. Okay? We got a few that are honest, but, okay, there's a lot of things out there that you can do to make a lot more money. You're not here just for a paycheck down deep inside. I know. That's a good one, but we're here for the kids. Okay? In the end, we're here for the kids. If you're not here for the kids, I know you are. Everybody's here for the kids. So that's why we're doing this. We're here to make them successful, to support the schools, okay, and to make them be better adults and better young children. Okay, so that's why we're here.
Let me say this.
Yes.
The reason I'm asking this is I had a student on my bus. He was on my home run. Good kid, never gave me a bit of trouble. Very respectful to me, very nice, no problem. But he kept telling all the kids on the bus he was addicted to porn. And he wanted to tell them all about it. And I couldn't shut him up. And I gave him every chance in the world to shut up. I mean, he was giving details and everything. So they put him on the short bus. I mean, he was a good kid.
Okay, so there's some more. That's a good story. That's funny, but there's more to that story than what we can get into. The student had some issues, okay, and he was very low functioning, it turned out to be. And he probably should have been on a special needs bus. I caught myself.
I said, we've got some longer buses. You'd be okay, we've got some longer buses. I'm not going on the.
I said special needs. So, you know, and that goes back, that's a great point. That goes back to reporting these things as they happen. If they keep on doing this stuff, we write them up, we'll deal with it, come in. Okay, come in and talk to us. We'll sit down and do it. Now, there's times when it gets really hectic up at the garage, okay? We're trying to get field trips out, we're down to drivers. Let us know, say, listen, this is the 10th time. Then here's what we'll do. That they've said, I watch porn, here's what happens on porn.
You live next door to me.
We're going to have prayer for you after this.
He comes down and helps me with my dog.
So right there's the plan, see? Why don't I ever hear you talking about saving kittens?
I didn't say you all did, but got it off my butt.
All right.
Hey, Todd, what happens when one person with your wife?
You report it.
Oh, I didn't report it, but I mean, if he actually hit me, what's my source?
Yeah, you
When he
can
hit me,
clarify.
there's some high response, I did not report.
Yeah. Okay, so we're the adult. I mean, if it gets to that point, okay, now it's going to be very rare when you have a student blow up, which you don't know, okay?
Well, this been coming on, because I done had 18 riding.
Yeah. Okay, are you talking about one of your students on your school bus, or is this in the past?
My big bus, when I drove a big bus.
Okay, so that's a good point, and that leads us to another conversation about what do you do. And I'm gonna tell you right now, there's not a perfect answer for that. And if you ask me
They
today,
are perfect, and it's good.
well, there may be a perfect answer, but there's not a right answer 100% of the time, okay? But let me talk on it, okay? So, the question was, if you didn't hear it, okay, Ronnie brought this up, and it's a good question, and it's probably been answered over the years, but what do we do if a student stands up and says, I'm gonna whip your tail? Okay, so, okay, that's never happened to me. It's probably never happened to 99% of you. Well, maybe not that. 98%. Okay, so it's very rare, but it's a good point. If a student tells you that stands up and says, I'm going to whip your tail, what do you do? All right. Number one, I would say that maybe 1% of kids in a school setting, and I know this because I've got experience dealing with these kids and what triggers that kind of behavior, okay? Probably less than 1% of kids are going to stand up all of a sudden and say, I'm whipping your A, okay? That's not going to be the norm ever. It may never happen. You may drive 30 years. Shirley, has anybody ever told you that in your 40 years driving?
No.
Okay. There are going to be signs, and I know this is going way back into stuff, but there's going to be signs that student is violent. Way, way, way prior to them standing up and saying, I'm whipping you, okay? They're going to be mouthy with other students. They're going to bully other kids, because that's what bullies do. They stand up and bully. Yep. They bully. They stand up and do that. Now, how do you combat that? Okay, you do write-ups. You manage your school bus. Okay, you don't say, my God, there you are again today. Get back here and sit down and shut up. The times of doing that's over. I mean, my dad, I rode the school bus with my dad, and I'll tell you, they were allowed to spank in school many days. Early on in the year, it didn't happen toward the end. My dad would stop the school bus, take his belt off and go back and spank students on the school bus. I've seen
Yeah, that's loud.
it. Okay? He taught at the elementary and the middle school where I went. It was junior high back then, but he would take them outside. I've been whipped at school with a belt. Great video edit. I want that out there. I don't want my mom to see it. But I've been whipped at school, not by my dad with a belt, but I've been whipped by dad with a belt. But at school, I've been whipped with a belt, with a switch. I'm from Harlan County. But it was early on. So back in the day, you know, the discipline was a little bit different. Nowadays, we can't do that. So how do we manage it? Okay? We manage by writing them up, moving their seats, coming to me or Marshall or the principal or the guidance counselor, talk and say, listen, this kid has some issues. Okay? You're going to see signs of a student getting ready to blow up well before they get up in your face. And who do you think is the number one person that can de-escalate that kid from saying something that up here? Who do you think can do the most about that? You. You. You can take it where that will never happen. Okay? Now, you're not going to do that by coming in and saying, you get back there and sit down and shut up. I ain't dealing with your crap today. You do that, they liable to jump up and say, I'm going to knock you out because their daddy probably knocked them out last night because they back talked him. Okay? Or their older brother or their older sister that's raising them's boyfriend. Okay? Because he's aggravating them. You know what I'm saying? So, there are going to be signs of that way before they jump up your face and say, I'm whipping your tail. And if you feel threatened ever by a student, let us know. But they're expecting us to be the adults and the ones that we look to. And like I said, I'm not running for nothing, but I really believe that this group that we have right now, you care about the kids. I know we're cutting up and stuff, but you really care about the kids or you wouldn't be here. Because you ain't here for the money. I don't care what you say. So, but that's a very good question, Ronnie. But the biggest part of doing stuff like that is keeping your school bus and your student management right here. Knowing your kids. Know them. Say hello to them. The ones that are the worst are the ones that need your help the most. And I know that's a cliche, and you're like, hey, God, here we go with that stuff. It's the truth. It's a fact, it's a reality. The kids that are the worst behaved on your bus. Now, every once in a while, you get some that are out of the norm. They're just mean. They're just going to be mean. They're going to be mean adults. Okay, we know mean adults. I mean, we deal with them every day, too.
Don't you sometimes when you drive down the road see them little fellas in an orange stripe and think, I know where a couple of them's going?
Oh, yeah. I could tell you all could tell me right today who's going to be in them yellow jumpsuits off your bus. You all can tell me.
Hey, Todd, you know, from 79 to 92, there was no radios on the buses. We had it all. And we had kids. They was allowed to stand. We had 3 to seat, and they would stand from the front to the back. And we kept them under control. So you have to work with them.
Yep, that's all you got to do. So.
We didn't have no radios running on buses in 2002.
Yeah, I guarantee you.
Well, I had 116.
116 kids. That's back before we had regulation.
Ron, when I got 108,
Did everybody hear that? She had 116 kids on her bus.
we got them in that table.
Let me, we're getting way out here, but this is good stuff.
Yeah, we did.
Okay, here, let me go over this, then I'm going to give you a break here for a second. Cyberbullying, okay? I'm telling you what the downfall of our society is. Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, what else? I don't know what else.
Anything social.
Social media, period. This has been the best. The phones have been the best invention and the worst invention. It's killing our kids.
Yes, it is.
I'm telling you. So, I know you all hear this all the time. They cuss me out on Facebook, or they posted this. They're being mean. If they post something on Facebook that's about school, or if they post they're going to fight somebody tells you all that, and your role as a bus driver or monitor, we need to write that up. As soon as you find out, or as soon as you hear that, I know, a lot of that stuff's gonna come back false, cause you know how kids are, they like to tell tales. But if you hear them talking about, so-and-so said they was gonna whip me at school, on Facebook or social media, report that, okay, we'll take care of it.